Hello, everyone out there, and welcome back to the Elite Racing Network, where tonight we are going to bring you live action for the Mark Rebilas Photography Series in the Gaming Life 250. Joining me in the booth tonight, as always, is Dave Huck and Jacob Adams. How are we doing tonight? Guys, you guys excited for Indianapolis full distance tonight?
Yeah, pretty excited about it. Hopefully, they've got plenty of room to maneuver out here, and we can get a nice clean race in.
Yeah,
Easy
and
commute. Easy
qualifying.
commute for me. I can almost see my house from this view of the track there, so not too bad.
Yeah, I forgot, Dave, you live pretty close to this place. How far? Stone's throw, right?
Nah, well, really, it's like 73 miles, but you could probably see if when it turns to the west there, you could probably see pretty close to Fountain County.
But it should be a great race today. Lots of qualifying just wrapped up. Ethan Stanley, as Jake Adams was saying here before we went live, has waxed him tonight. He is going to be on the pole, it appears, unless somebody beats him right here at the end. John Cutlip, Fody, Leighton Norgard, Seth Rawls, Hunter Smith, Matthew Weeks, Tyler Pop, Scott Crump, Ethan Burrell will round out your top 10. Any big surprises for you guys in qualifying?
Yeah, you kind of really hit on it. The 91, like I said, waxed. He got a 10th on the field. We've got you mentioned Hunter Smith up there. Josh didn't get a terrible qualifying lap in. He's 20th, and we're used to seeing him qualify outside the top 30.
Yeah, and right back in there, Chad Frankenfield, Mr. Indianapolis, won the Indy 500 last, was it the last race we held here? Maybe not. Maybe we've raced here a couple times since then, but he is the winner from the last Indy 500 we ran, so he's going to be starting back there in 17th. David Tooker's qualified back there. And up at the front, a story that we got to watch. I have heard rumblings that it is over. They have buried the hatchet. But Jonathan Cutlip, Tyler Fody, we've seen them get together here last week. It carried over into Fontana last Wednesday. So we'll have to see if that continues on or if they actually have buried the hatchet. What do you think, Jake? Is that hatchet dead and buried, or they leave that handle sticking out?
Yeah, well, I mean, you always kind of hope that, one guy takes a swipe at one guy, somebody gets him back, and then you kind of just hope that that they leave it at that.
I do have to give a quick shout out right here, really quick. Who Day. It's a great day for America, a great day for Bengal Nation. As we get ready to start this race, we are 40 seconds from rolling. Typically, we don't get to this as early as we are right here, but Jake and Dave, you guys got to pick to win this thing tonight.
Yeah, let's see. You mentioned Mr. Indianapolis. We know Chad Frankenfield loves this place. He's probably got more laps around this place than anybody here tonight. So I'm gonna take our fearless leader, Chad Frankenfield, tonight.
Matthew Weeks, that's a good one. Let's see who starts back here in the back that I think is going to play the right strategy and get up here. Man, I don't know. Series sponsor Mark got back there. He's qualified well in the back. I mean, just taking a look at this field, and you think about Indianapolis and what it takes to win here. I'm thinking Ethan Burrell, guys. That's who I'm thinking. The field begins to roll down this front straightaway. Got one of the longest parade laps in all of motorsport. Huge lap to run here. And a packed house, too. You see all the fans out there in attendance. Shiny, bright day. I am very interested to see how this place races with the new... We just had a new build, but even the previous build had a lot of changes as far as the way the track takes heat, the way it takes rubber, the way the lane moves. And I'm kind of curious if the bottom lane is going to get pretty free here once rubber gets laid down on it, and they will be able to move up to that second lane, make some passes. What do you think, Jake? We're going to see a second lane, or you think this is going to be something where everybody's going to be on the bottom?
Yeah, I think for the most part, typical Indianapolis, probably mostly around the bottom. I wouldn't doubt maybe you can take a later entry and kind of drive down the track and make some speed that way, but I don't really know that we'll go in and run just the second lane, but I wouldn't be shocked to see somebody try.
And one thing of note here, we do have stages tonight. I believe 30 and 60, correct, Jake? So lap 30, lap 60 will give away some points.
That would be correct. At lap 30, end of lap 30, end of lap 60, the top 10 will get points 10 through 1. And we heard Chad say he's hoping to go from 36th to 35th in points. And the best way to do that is to get up there and get maximum points. So we'll probably get ready to see him take off pretty quick here.
Yeah, Chad's going to be Chad wide pretty quick. The pace car's about ready to head for home. And it's still a long way down here to this restart zone. Ethan Stanley's going to have control of these guys for a long time. We see a lot of restart and start crashes here. Green is out. Good jump there for everybody, it would appear, as they head for turn 1. Tyler Fody right in there behind his teammate. John Cutlip on the top. Give it to Stanley on that bottom side. Fody and Cutlip battle for second. Talked about that hatchet there in the pre-race. Let's see if that thing got buried. They race hard here off of turn 2. Down the backstretch, Stanley gets away. The battle's for second. And they've got a little gap over the guys right behind them.
Start to fan out down the back straightaway a little deeper in the pack. We talked about how you want to be down on the bottom. I saw on that restart, as soon as Ethan Burrell had enough room to be clear and get to the bottom, he took it. He wanted to be on the bottom for turn 1. He was able to get right there behind Scott Crump. As everybody starts to single out, we've got a Leighton Norgard, the lone ranger on the top lane.
Yep, the Lone Ranger, but sometimes it pays off to get up there. I think, on fresh tires right here at the start, I firmly believe the bottom's going to be the way, but I do think this will widen out. I don't know if it'll get as wide as what a Leighton's running right there. That's pretty wide if it gets up that high. But he actually got pretty decent run through there. I think he's just trying to find his way to the bottom.
Yeah, and when you get that high up in the corners there, especially those short chutes, that wall is very inviting on the exit. So you really want to make sure you get it woed up enough to, kind of minimize the mistake you made by running in there too far and just try and get back to the bottom, as Leighton's going to look to give up another spot to Burrell here.
Yeah, not a great race start here for Leighton Norgard, backing up. Can't quite get himself here on the bottom side. He started on the outside of row 2, and it's really... Tom Bourne gets into the wall a little bit off of turn 4. And like you mentioned, that wall is very inviting. In the inaugural event here, I believe Dale Earnhardt hit the wall on the first lap of the race and ended any shot he had of winning that day. So it is very important to all these race car drivers out here to run well today. This is one of those tracks like Daytona where the history and everything that has happened here in Indianapolis, even on the sim, guys think about that and want to win this race.
We see some moves being made here. Jared Rexon got around Haver there. Chad Frankenfield on the back bumper with Jay Kaner on the bottom. Chad trying to make that outside work, but the 52 is going to be a little bit checked up in front of him. Well, it's going to allow Gerald Campbell to make a move to the inside of Chad.
Gerald Campbell, he's had a resurgence of speed here the last couple weeks. He was really fast in the truck race, ultimately had a issue there running up towards the front, kind of a self-spin, got caught up in some other things, so the pace is there, just got to finish the job. And Jay drives down into 1, gets pretty sideways on the brakes, can't get to the center of the corner, and here comes Chad working that bottom side underneath that 9 machine as we ride on board with Chad Frankenfield here.
Yeah, you could see it, a perfect example of that bottom lane there. Chad, outside of his windshield, noticed Jay didn't get all the way to the bottom. He knew that if he just got to the white line, he would have the run to be able to get under Jay and make that pass, and that was a textbook Indianapolis pass right there.
And right behind them now, Josh Labonte running up the racetrack, giving up some spots. I believe he gave up a spot to Tooker, had to fight his way back to the bottom in front of Tom Bourne, who we mentioned a couple laps ago hit that wall off of turn 4. Josh Robin had an opportunity to go Chad wide back there with Gavin and Frank Fody and chose better of taking it 3 wide. All this going on back here in the midfield as Chad tries to gain another spot.
Yeah, he's definitely on the move early. He's going to make the move on Lake Norman development driver, one of them Havers there. I believe he's developing in the ARCA series for Lake Norman. He's going to potentially lose 2 more positions to Kaner and Campbell.
Yeah, and this race is a long race. It's full distance. I'm sure that driver coach Tyler Fody has told them, hey, take it easy at the start. Don't get too panicked if you give up a bunch of spots early. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for strategy. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to get it back. You know, it's a long race like this. Indianapolis, you could stay out. Well, I don't know about staying out on the sim. You know, the sim's not like real life where the tires are rock hard, but you could have the opportunity to take 2, and, you know, you could stay out and just know that you're going to be at a disadvantage and kind of have a realistic expectation of what, you know, it looks like. It probably doesn't look like staying out in the lead like we see on Sunday, but it could look like you're running 15th, you take 2 tires, and you stay in the top 8 or 9. That's kind of the realistic expectation if you try some kind of strategy.
We see here on the Justin Wadsworth running down the back straightaway, and from that camera view we saw Josh Robin make a pass around Frank Fody. So that was for 23rd there. So these guys run just outside the top 20.
Yeah, and you see coming into the picture in the back of the field, one guy that we did not talk about, I believe, is the 60 of Cale Pocock. And he won, I believe, right? Did he not win the Cup race here? Correct?
That is something that maybe possibly our producer could go and check up on for us. That I don't have exactly the exact numbers on that.
He might not have. Don't hold me to it if you're at home saying, no, he didn't win it. But him and Jake are back here in the back part of this field trying to move forward, trying to figure out how to get some track position after subpar qualifying efforts at best.
He did not. Somewhere Zach Evans was yelling at the screen. So
I would imagine Zach was saying, hey, you're wrong.
Our winner of the Brickyard this year was Matthew Weeks. Oh, that's good. I picked him. Hey, I think he's going to go double. Cool.
Yeah, that's a guy that I always see in our Discord channel there, or any of our Twitter chats or whatever. Anytime there is a stat that needs to come up, or a previous video of his, I don't know, maybe shooting to the moon. You know, Zach is the guy that's always going to have the information on that.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's going to be a great day at Indianapolis for these guys. Chad Frankenfield coming after Jared Rexing now. Chad is on the move, guys. Is anybody surprised about Chad being aggressive, moving forward? You have to wonder if he's hurting those tires. You have to wonder if that matters, too. Maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. He's in desperate need of points, and he knows there's points out there in just over 20 laps, and he started, you know, outside the top 15 there, and getting up into the top 10 is the only way to, for sure, make sure you're going to try and advance your points position. So if he can go and get as many of these positions as possible and put a gap behind him to where maybe if he does run the tires off, it still is a while until he gets past. I definitely think it's a good move by him to try and, you know, get the track position early.
And speaking of passes, we just had a change at second place. John Cutlip just went around Tyler Fody. Didn't look like Tyler put up much of a fight here that second time. Just kind of let him have it. Seth Rawls watches on. Matthew Weeks right there. Tyler Pop. All these guys are lined up, but Ethan Stanley's got about a second and a half out there of cushion. As you take a look here at the pass that was made for second, you see Tyler just gives it up. He says, you got the position. Let me get back down here in the bottom.
Yeah, it's trying to build that goodwill back, letting John go there. And, you know, that's something that, you know, a driver's not going to forget. They're going to say, hey, you let me go earlier, and, you know, maybe that'll get Tyler a favor later.
Well, you know, they kind of had to work it out. They do a lot of things together as far as off the racetrack. They've had a few run-ins here recently, but I believe they both like each other. You know, I know I haven't talked to Cutlip about it, but I do know, talking to Fody, that he really respects Cutlip, and, you know, he's talked about how he wants this to be over, and he felt bad about Bristol and whatnot last week. Now, whether you feel bad about something or not, it doesn't matter. It happened. You did it. You might have maybe paid the consequences of that Wednesday night, you know, and whatnot. But I know he wanted to put this behind him, whatever it took, because they do some business. I know John paints all the cars over there at Lake Norman, so.
That's what I was gonna say. Imagine the hatchet wasn't buried, and all these cars showed up here just blank, and we'd for sure know that there was nothing worked out still.
So unfortunately, that hatchet looks to be buried. I don't even think the handle's sticking out, so that's unfortunate for us here on the broadcast. Something that we won't be able to talk about or break down as those two running into each other. So if you're watching out there, let's see if we can get some guys to run into each other.
What we can talk about is Chad Frankenfield making another pass here on Joe Francis.
On the wall. I believe it was the 57 machine just smashed the wall off of turn 2. I think that's one of them Javier's, right? It's one of them development drivers. Can't really get a good look at the damage from here, but I saw him buried into that wall. Oh, look at the right front. There's some pretty decent damage there.
Yeah, and Indianapolis is a place, definitely 2 of the longest straightaways in NASCAR, and you want your fenders to be straight as
we got
get 3-wide battle down the front straightaway. Josh Robbins sends it in under Tommy Ryan and Justin Wadsworth and makes the pass.
Oh, but he's giving it back. He overdrove the corner. Big move to go 3 wide, and now he's going to give back probably one of the spots, maybe both of them. Does Justin return the favor here, and does he take him 3 wide? Oh, the 66 gets loose. I believe they're 3 wide once again.
Yeah, here we go.
The roles are reversed.
3.
Oh, the 66 backs out, does not stay in there.
Yeah, Josh Robin, he went in there really deep. Yeah, you might say Chad deep. And we mentioned he paid the price for it, just washed up a little bit. Not only did he give those 2 spots back that he made the pass for, but he's got a line of 3 cars now waiting to pass him just off of missing that one move.
Yeah, and that's, you've been moving forward. Josh Robin has been moving forward through this field, being very aggressive. Well, he made a move right there, missed the corner. And now he's gave up the 43, the 41, the 05's back underneath him. The 77 here is going to push the 05. Turns him a little bit sideways. Ty reacted just a little bit. So the potato farmer, trying to gain a couple spots, has given up a handful.
Tell you, while we're watching this battle in the mid-pack, it's about to start getting good up here for the lead. Jonathan Cutlip has caught Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, and I think you got all kinds of things going on over there, don't you?
Yeah, Michael Goodman got loose off a corner, and I guess maybe clipped a cone. Would never made an intent to pit, so.
Here comes Chad after a Leighton. A Leighton started all the way up in P4. And he is they have missed the setup here for the race. Really struggling. Meanwhile, Chad didn't get the qualifying effort he wanted, but he's got a good race car. We're about halfway through this stage in. Right in front of them is Ethan Burrell, Hunter Smith.
Yeah, before too long, Chad will be knocking on the door of the top 5 if he keeps going how he is. He's picking them up and putting them down pretty quick.
Hunter gives way to Ethan. I would have imagined he'll give way to Chad pretty quick. That's his teammate, but I mean, we will see. Here comes Chad looking inside in turn 2. Hunter's going to turn down, and that's going to hurt. Does a Leighton go back around Chad, or does he stay behind him?
Battle for the lead. Jonathan Cutlip looking out on Ethan Stanley.
And I think Ethan will give it up. I don't think you're going to see Ethan put up a fight down here. He does. He's going to lift early, give it up. But Tyler Fody says, you might be trying to give it up, but I'm going to pass you here for second. Nope. Fody falls in. Lets him down. That's teamwork. Teammates. We'll see how quick Fody tries to pass him, because I think Stanley might have driven the tires off of his Blue Egg marketing machine.
We talked about the not the greatest start of all time for a Leighton Norgard, slipping back through the field. He was running about 11th place now. Seth Rawls was the guy we saw qualify in the top 5, and he's stayed there. So he's trying to show that his qualifying effort was no fluke.
Yeah, and Chad's still trying to work around teammate Hunter Smith. You would think, we saw the 2 Lake Norman cars work together. And these 2 guys, Hunter says, if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to earn it. I'm not just going to give it to you. And Chad is right on the bumper of that 54. Is Chad willing to make contact with the car I believe he owns? Oh, Hunter driving so hard he's going to hit the wall a little bit.
Yeah, he's saying just because you signed my paychecks doesn't mean I'm going to roll over and give you the spot. That's a difference of a point here in the playoffs. And after today, we've only got 3 races to go until the playoffs start. So, 1 or 2 points really matter here in a full distance race where you got 2 stages to make points in, as well as the finish of the race.
Based on my calculations, these guys can go somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 laps. Do you see some of these guys maybe running 15th, 20th, right in there? Do you think we'll see them pit at lap 25 or so, and try to get some laps on fresh tires, try to gain some track position, and hope to catch a caution? Maybe 40 or 45 right after everybody else pits, or not long after everybody else pits, but before they can pounce back on them.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. If you're within, I don't know what the exact second mark is, but this is a lot like Pocono, and you pit under green. You're not going to go, you may not go a lap down if you're close enough to the lead, or if you do go a lap down, your tires will get you back out on the lead lap, at least to get back and pass the leader. So it might not be a bad idea if you're not going to get points.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking at guys like, I think Hunter Smith is probably going to fall out of the top 10 here. He's really struggling. I think at lap 25, 26, if I'm Hunter Smith, I'm pitting. I look at him. I look at a Leighton, Tookers back there, Johnny Thomas, Josh Adams, Tom Bourne, Gavin Higgins, Wadsworth. All these are guys that if I am running under green still at lap 25, I am really giving some consideration about pitting, trying to gain some track position, and then hoping to catch the right caution, 20 laps later, and possibly be in front of these guys and bring everybody back to pit road.
And speaking of the tires and all that, I don't know if we spoke on it pre-race, but they do have 6 sets in the pits, and we've gone 20 laps green here so far. So, there hasn't been much opportunity for caution and have to come down and decide if you're going to put tires on. So I think this is a perfect opportunity, and you wouldn't be wasting a set if you were to pit here in 5 or 6 laps, because you're only 10 laps away from a pit stop anyway. And if this stays green, the look that it has, you're not going to use 6 sets. So that's something I would definitely be thinking about if I was one of these guys outside the top 10.
Yeah, and those of you at home might say, well, if you run it out, 35 and 35 is 70, and then, obviously 30 laps to the end, it breaks it up better. That's probably going to win the race up there towards the front. But odds are we're not going to go caution free. We're going to have a caution at some point. And if you're running 15th or 20th back in here, you're not going to win the race doing what everybody else does. If everybody just does the same thing, you're never going to jump track position. You're never going to take a gamble, that'll work. It's
right. Yeah. At this point, you're just trying to improve your day. Because if you're not going forward like Chad right now, you see these guys like Wilkinson, for example, running around in 19th. That's about 10 seconds off the lead. So you think 10 seconds up there, you're not going to catch that if it stays green like this. And the best way to make your ground back is to short pit. See all that ground up to that next group. If he was to make that pit stop and catch them off guard in just 1 or 2 lap difference, he'd definitely be racing for a top 15 spot after he comes in and puts those tires on.
And I'll tell you this too, lap times have fallen off about 2 seconds. So you would be able to beat those guys in the top 10, because there's no way these guys in the top 10 are going to pit before the stage ends, because that's points. So you will have 5-6 laps of running on your fresh tires at 2 seconds a lap faster. And then it'll probably take them half the next run to get to you. You'll fall off a little quicker, but it's not like they're going to eat you up as soon as they come out of the pits either. It's, you're going to be able to hold on for a few laps. It'll probably take 10 or 15 laps into the next run before they get to you.
Yeah, and that's the payoff of this strategy we're talking about. If you do come in and make that stop, and then, like we say, it's going to take them that many laps to come and catch them. As it looks like we have one car's that Josh Adams coming to pit road, so he might be listening to us here.
I don't know if he's listening to us. I think it's still a little bit. I think we're still 3 or 4 laps too soon here. I mean, we were talking about making the call at lap 25. I feel like I don't know about coming this soon. You know what I mean? This might be too early.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see about it. So he was running outside of that position we were talking about. He wasn't going to get up there and get any points, so we'll just have to keep an eye on this 23 car and see how this works out for him.
Yeah, I think it'll be a short-term gain, but this, just these couple 2 or 3 laps too early are just, I don't know. It is 2 or 3 more laps of a faster pace, but at the same time, I feel like lap 25 kind of opened it up where you could still make it on the same amount of stops. You just have to run longer the last stop or the last run than everybody else would. I feel like this right here, if there's not a caution, he's going to have to make an extra pit stop at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, the upside to this here is coming off. He's not going to lose the lap. So, if he can catch a caution in the next 5 laps, I'm sure he would probably just, maybe stay out and restart the leader and just try and get his track position that way.
But right now, Tyler Fody is still all over John Cutlip. These two are running together. Stanley still holds on to 3rd. Weeks, Seth Rawls, Tyler Popp, Scott Crump, Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Burrell, Hunter Smith round out your top 10. And you get into a Leighton and Joe and Tooker, Rexing, and Johnny Thomas. And if I'm that group, I'm likely pitting here in the next lap or two. If I'm Johnny Thomas, if I'm Jared Rexing, David Tooker, I'd be coming to pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps. I would not be staying out. I would not, not be sitting here content to run where I'm at. They've given up time to that front 10. So get in there, get your service, get your tires before everybody else. Because I would imagine at lap 31, coming to 32, there is going to be a mad rush to pit road that is going to look like, if it's still under green, it will look like a caution because everybody will probably be coming to pit road.
Yeah, and while we were doing the run through the field there, you mentioned it, Chad up to 8th, past Ethan Burrell from the last time we saw him pass Hunter Smith. And Chad is actually going to look at the lap times. He is the fastest car on the track. So we talked about coming up through the field like that and whether he was going to be burning his stuff off. No, he's running lap times better than our leaders right now.
Yeah, and so the confidence that's going to bring to stick on the same strategy when you've came through the field, because he's driven himself out of that pocket of cars that we talked about possibly coming to pit road, is that he's driven himself up here to run the leader strategy, to run the optimal strategy and see how that shakes out. Now, that said, if the caution falls at a timely spot for these guys on this opposite strategy, right now it's just Josh Adams on that opposite strategy, but if he gets a caution at the perfect time, Josh will be the leader because these guys will all pit with Josh and whatnot. Now, there could also be a terrible time for a caution would be to right after the pit stops. So we shall see what happens. We got some pit stops. The 05 is going to come to pit road. Right here I like this spot to pit right here. I think this is an opportune time. I think if I'm Johnny Thomas, I think all those guys right here from about 12, if you don't think you have a shot at stage points, which, I mean, David Tooker, Jared Rex, and Joe Francis might think that they could get that 1 point. But I'm telling you right now, I would be on pit road. There's no way, like, there's a group of 5 racing for that last point right now. And I just don't see a scenario, 4 out of the 5 are not going to get points. And so I would pit, do the pits close here? Are you going to have to close pit road at 2 to go in the stage? That's a thing, right?
No, there's no cautions. So if there were cautions, yes. But as far as there being no cautions, no, they can pit whenever they want.
Righty then, as we take a look here, I think Hunter Smith needs to make that left turn. I think a lot of these guys need to be thinking about making that left turn that Ty made, that Josh made. I mean, there is a opportunity here to try to jump up here some of these guys and shoot for stage points in the second stage. We'll see if anybody comes down. I don't see anybody coming.
We do have a group of cars on pit road now. Vincent Isabella was on there.
Well, he's towing. He just stopped and towed. Well, here comes Josh Robin. I'm pretty disappointed that more of these guys right around 15th didn't come. I see the 77 coming off of pit road. I just feel like, I guess they're content to run 15th. I wouldn't be content to run 15th. I'd be trying to find ways to get myself some track position, but
yeah, well, if they miss the mark on this one, there's still, after this stage, 70 laps to go, and there's still a lot of time to dig yourself out of a hole. But I'm with you, Ed. I want to be getting on the right side of it now, and not wait for later when with the trend. If trends stay the same, we probably will see a couple cautions towards the end of this race.
Yeah, and I feel like take a swing. What's the difference in? You're running 15th and maybe you finish 25th if it doesn't work at all. If it goes absolutely terrible in the worst way possible, you finish 25th. But if it works out, it don't even have to work out perfect. If it just works a little bit, you're going to give yourself a shot to race for a top 5. And if it works out just absolutely... Oh, the 77's around.
Big impact there. It looks like we're gonna stay green.
He stayed under that white line. That's the car that was on tires, just got loose. Oh, he gets down there a little bit low, clips the inside. Oh, that's a wheel malfunction. Something happened. That is some kind of failure there on equipment.
Oh, we've got. Is that Wadsworth spun around at pit entry? Big damage for Justin Wadsworth.
Oh, unfortunate.
See what happens. He's just trying to get up to pit road and. Oh.
Just loses it. He's going to hit the wall. How is that not a caution?
Yeah, he was pretty far down there, but good on iRacing for keeping us green here. These last 2 self spins.
And the stage end is now. John Cutlip gets the win. Fody second. Matthew Weeks, Ethan Stanley, Seth Rawls, Tyler Popp, Scott Crump, Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Burrell, and David Tooker will be the guys that score stage points. As not many guys jumped on this other side of the strategy. Josh Adams will likely be the leader on the other side of pit stops here. We'll have to see how all this works out. Right now, I'm kind of curious about the yellow flag situation out here. I'm very interested to see if we're going to have a caution at any point tonight.
Yeah, I heard from one of the drivers to to look at them for a severe damage penalty. So I'm trying to go and look at what happened with Brent Jones.
Well, I think Britt was calling it on himself, too. He said he created somebody's damage, right?
Yeah.
As we take a look here at the 66 and the 43 battling for that spot. I'm very surprised we didn't get a rash of guys on pit road just yet. I mean, we got some guys down there, but nobody really jumped on the idea. And I will tell you this, if there are no yellows tonight, Josh Adams has put himself into a terrible position. So he's got to be hoping that is some kind of issue with the sim, that it didn't register Justin back on the racetrack, because that same crash happened here in the Cup race, and I believe RC was lower than that, and it triggered a caution.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on later. Here is race control. I might have to make a decision or two to throw some cautions if we don't, if they don't happen naturally.
You know what'll happen if you do make a decision to throw caution, and it benefits Josh. Man, I don't want to be in your shoes later.
Yeah, well, if it benefits anybody and hurts others, Gavin Higgins is having a lot of trouble pitting. He missed his pit box. He pinned his left side tire changers right up next to the wall, and he had a time trying to get parked in his pit box, and that's not the natural pit position right there. But
now here we come with a bunch of guys getting ready to come down pit road. I'm hearing everybody. I'm seeing spotters everywhere waving their hands up in the air, saying that their guy is coming to pit road. Taking a look at this pit entry.
This is, we've got another one hard on the inside wall. Is that Dusty Dewar?
It is.
Yeah, this is something that, we've been going 30 laps, and probably nobody practiced a pit stop after a full fuel run, and it's a Hossack slide into the entry line. I think this is something where you're... I take
the penalty over the damage.
Oh, yeah, I would be cranking my brake bias right now, and Chris, I know you'd be doing the same thing to try and make it a little bit easier on yourself to get to pit road as you see another group of cars come.
Oh, look at this. Here they all come. It looks like a caution pit stop out here.
Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, see, I would already have my brakes balanced. I balance my brakes for pit road, and that usually is pretty good balance on the racetrack as well. We are still green. There is no yellow. Do not let this deceive you with all these guys coming to pit all at the same time.
Well, Chris, I'm going to take a quick second to step away. I will rejoin you in about 45 seconds.
10-4. You see Ethan Stanley getting to his pit box in the middle of this rash of green flag stops that we are in right now. Here comes some more takers coming off of turn 4. I see the 10. I see all kinds of guys. As you see all these guys, a great pit sequence for Chad as he jumped the group that he was in the middle of. We've Cutlips coming down pit road. All these guys entering and exiting and trying to be safe. I mean, look at all these guys. There's Mark right behind John Cutlip. Taking a look back there to Scott Crump. We will see how all this shakes out. I would anticipate Josh Adams having a sizable lead here on the other side of pit stops. They all get ready to come. There's Harrison out in front right now. Has yet to make a pit stop. Josh Adams is about 5 seconds behind him. Then you got Wilkerson, you got Fody. McIntosh is back there. We saw him play that strategy as well. Cutlet, Josh, Robin, all these guys trying to pit and get back going, seeing how all this strategy is going to shake out. But We see Josh Adams got clear track around him as there comes Harry to pit road, and that's going to give Josh the lead. And this is what I was talking about right here. Now, I felt like Josh was about 3 or 4 laps too soon, but if he catches a caution, I feel like it's going to be all right. But we have documented we're not sure about the caution situation tonight, but Josh currently sits out front with Brandon Wilkinson in second. Has Brandon pitted? Brandon did pit right there at lap 26. Fody right there. Then Matthew Weeks, Ty also pitted early. Stanley, Robin, Cutlip, Chad Frankenfield, and Seth Rawls after this first round of pit stops. And I think since we just had our first round of pit stops, we don't expect to see anybody on pit road for the foreseeable future. We will take this opportunity to take our first commercial break of the night. Stick with us. On the other side of this break, we will have a battle for the lead.
Of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, live on the Elite Racing Network. I want to give a shout out to all of our great sponsors. We got Blue Egg Marketing, of course. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always on the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to big wins. And of course, Worldwide Technology Raceway. That is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, close to the Gateway Arch. It features a 1.25-mile oval that in 2025 will host the NASCAR Cup Series, the long-awaited return of the Xfinity Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They also have a 2-mile infield road course that is hosting the SCCA and Formula Drift events. Also a quarter-mile drag strip that hosts the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series with the Midwest Nationals event. And the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. And of course, our race sponsor tonight, The Gaming Life. And I believe they had an ad there talking about what they do and what they bring. And of course, we've got Mark Rebilas Photography Series out here tonight. Mark is on the racetrack, not having a night that he would like to talk about maybe too much in the future, but he is out here. Maybe catch a caution at the right time and get back in this thing, Mark. I believe Jake is back with us now as well on the other side of this break. What do you think, Jake? We're approaching halfway here. No cautions. Josh has played that opposite strategy along with Brandon Wilkinson and Ty McIntosh, who is all the way back now, 16.5 seconds off of the lead.
Yeah, we, you kind of mentioned how you weren't really a fan of Josh Pitton, say, 2, 3, 4 laps shorter than we were predicting. He does have, if the numbers are accurate, he's going to pit here again in about 13 laps or so. So, if he can catch a caution anytime in that period, it'll be, great for him. Get back on the equal playing field and be in the top 10, which would be, plus 10 or 15 spots better than he was. So basically anything inside the top 15, I would imagine, is a win for Josh. But, don't really want to say any more than this, but Adams Fody, it's about to happen for the lead.
Yeah, and I don't think anything's going to happen other than Adams losing the spot there to Fody. Ooh, a little bit of a block. Pretty defensive driving. Josh knows how important it is to keep this lead, to keep this track position. Tyler Fody down low. Josh going to run away from the wall just a little bit. Fody also short pitted these other guys a little bit. That's how he got out here in front of Cutlip and some of these other guys. They head down here for turn 1. Fody's new tires are going to allow him to drive away. Josh put up a fight. Maybe all the fight he had. But now Josh is just sitting there wanting that thing to pop up and say caution's out.
Yeah, well, now he's got a gap of 3 seconds to the next car, so it's still going to be a couple laps until he gets passed for second, and then there's a gap back to the end of the top 10 also. So yeah, I think he's going to probably stay inside the top 10 until his pit stop, but he just wants the caution probably before then. Or maybe he is wanting to see how it plays out. But we mentioned that maybe he might have to make an extra pit stop, pitting a little early. So you see Chad popping out. This is for 5th place on Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, Ethan Stanley, our pole sitter, he had that fast 1-lap speed, but their race pace has not been here tonight, as he is falling back to that last car in that lead grouping.
Yeah, Chad, he's one of a group of drivers this season in this particular series, probably every series in general, that's had just an abysmal elite season. And he's been picking it up in several series throughout the last couple of weeks. We saw him run really well at Pocono in the Juicy Spider Truck Series 2 weeks ago. Very similar track to this. And now he's definitely showing these boys that the 15's got some speed tonight.
Yeah, but I almost wonder, he's so far back. He might need a caution to have a shot to win. Now, we will see. I mean,
I tell you, he's a lot closer right now than he was before we got our pit stops. He was probably 5, 6 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds further back than he was before the pit stops. So right now it's a net gain for Chad.
Well, and that group is coming up on Josh Adams. Here they go. First of the guys to pass him, Tyler Popp going around him. I believe, right? No.
I believe that's a lap car.
Yeah, that is a lap car.
JP there going around him.
And he's about to get passed by Matthew Weeks and John Cutlip. Josh is just in desperate need of a caution here. He just goes way high, gives it up. I don't like that. Like, you've played the strategy, and you got to fight. You run the bottom, force them to follow you through 3 and 4. I am not a fan of just moving up and out of the way. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't understand that move at all.
Well, if it shows you anything, he made it easy on everybody else. There was one car he made it hard on. And,
yeah, you make it hard on everybody. You've played this strategy. You can't just roll over. I mean, I understand you don't have a whole lot to fight with, but just go in there and run the bottom and force them to check up and follow you, force them to go around you.
Yeah,
I'm just not a fan of that. What just happened there?
the other side of that coin with how this season has gone across multiple series. If you're a slower car and you sit there and you run the bottom line and you try and force them to, check up and run behind you, you're probably getting turned. So, Josh probably knew he was getting crashed if he would have ran in there, with the tire disadvantage, running a couple seconds slower than those guys. Probably knows somebody would have just turned him for being slow in front of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's something you got to make somebody turn you. I just don't understand that. But nonetheless, Tyler Fode out front here by about 2.5 seconds over Weeks and Cutlip together. Then you got Chad, you got Ethan Stanley, and you got Josh Adams. Now he's got Tyler Pott behind him.
And we see on the screen here the lap times. Matthew Weeks has been considerably faster than Fode for the last
did Chad
5
just hit
laps
the
we
wall?
have listed here.
Did Chad just hit the wall off of turn 2?
I think he may have. We have Ethan Stanley going back by him.
Oh, the fastest car on the racetrack. It probably knocked some of that speed out. That's a pretty good hit right there. That is no light tap. Unfortunate for Chad. Chad's going to be kicking himself. I can already hear him. I had the best car. I threw it away off of turn 2. Just got to stay patient. And like you mentioned, Weeks and Cutlip running faster than Fode. No surprise there. Fode pitted a few laps before they did.
I don't
Understanding.
see any damage going back and looking at it for Chad. At least nothing that sticks out. The fender might be a little bit crinkled, but
it might be in his head too, Sometimes you'll hit that wall and you'll swear it's different.
yeah, he's probably yelling at his crew chief right now, like, what did you do to this thing? I didn't hit the wall a single time before I pitted. You give me a skunk set of tires or something.
But one thing of note here, Josh Adams on that opposite strategy. Brandon Wilkinson is currently in 11th on that same strategy. And the guy who the strategy has not worked out for at all is Ty McIntyre. He has, I don't know what kind of issues Ty has had, but this strategy play is, it's really done nothing for his
I
race.
believe he just called out that he's pitting here. He's making a second pit stop right here. He gets in okay. We didn't see him, no spins, nothing like that.
I don't know that it would necessarily be a bad time for Josh to come back. You have to make an extra stop already if you're Josh Adams. I don't know.
Right now, you make a pit stop, you go 30 or 35 laps, and that makes it to where your last run is only 20 or 15 or 20 laps. So right here, knowing you got to make that extra pit stop anyway, the window is open to pit whenever you want.
And here he comes.
Especially,
This is what I'm saying, though. If he'd have went 3 or 4 more laps, like we were talking, he would be able to make it on one more stop. He would just have to really lengthen this one out.
This is 2 guys for the Shifty Sports team coming to pit road on the same lap.
Now, if the caution could come out while you're down here on pit road, that would be ideal too.
Oh yeah, Josh is he was close enough to the leaders. He's not going to lose the lap, just like we saw the first time. So really, a caution would be great at any point from now until he basically gets up to speed, and then he wouldn't even have to come back to pit road and could just lead the race on just the virtue of a caution coming out.
Yeah, if you don't get one in the first couple laps, then you want it to stay green through the next cycle, which would be probably 10 to 15 laps from now before we get through the next cycle. I mean, it could be further, I guess, right? Someone went to 35, so it could be all the way up to 70. So you really want it to stay green for a while now, if you're Josh.
Yeah, watching here on our screen, we're seeing a battle between Johnny Thomas and I believe that's Corey Abbott. 2 cars we haven't seen much of in this race. We haven't talked about at all. Just quietly running 20th and 21st here.
2 guys that I felt like should have played the strategy there at the end of that first run too. Give yourself a shot to get something different going on.
Yeah, right now, I was at the back of our screen there is I think Was that Pocock on the wall back there?
Taking a look at Jared Rexing. Pulling out to make a pass on Kale. Kale running really high. Frank Fody looks on.
Yeah, you got the wall again. I was about to say, I thought I was watching the replay of what I saw, but no, that was one of the short shoots there. So twice in one lap. I think maybe Caleb might be wanting to, bring it back to pit road here.
We were talking about Ethan Stanley falling off. Maybe Ethan was really trying to save tires this run after what happened that first run, because he's driven away from Chad, and he's kind of ran down Matthew Weeks here a little bit, coming towards these guys. So he might have been, working on saving tires a little bit better after what happened that first run.
Yeah, the last 4 laps we have here, he's been anywhere between a tenth to 2, almost 3/10 quicker than Matthew Weeks.
And that just shows you what it can change. You make one run, you learn stuff about your car to do different. All these guys are usually, league-wide, like elite racing wide. You're going to be better every run because you've learned from the previous run. And it kind of gives you a notebook to go off of. Okay, the car's going to build this way, so I'm better prepared for it to build this way. I can do some things different with where I brake, how I'm braking, what I'm doing in the car. How I'm turning. There's a lot of things you can do different to learn and be faster the second run and the third run and so on about saving tires. And maybe some guys are really good at kind of flipping ends, like, hey, I leaned on the right front really hard there, I got to take care of that a little better, but I can do this and it'll drive off the right rear a little bit more. So
And then there's also the times where you get help from the other drivers out there on the track with some positions. We saw Chad drive around Ethan Stanley, and we thought Chad was going to be the one driving up there and getting in the race for the lead, second, third, whatever. But with him hitting the wall and letting Stanley get clean track back ahead of him, that's allowed Ethan Stanley to back up a little bit and, like you said, remember what he did the first run and figure out what might have been wrong. And now he doesn't have to worry about Chad driving in front of him, and he could just go out and try and run Matthew Weeks down with clear track ahead.
And run him down he is, and they're not even to Fody yet. I believe we were about 5 laps away from a stage end, correct? Stage 2, 60?
Yeah, we've got the end of lap 60 for the stage.
I don't think Fody's going to have much of anything to fight with here if they're able to get to him. They got 5 laps to get it done, to close that gap. We'll see if they can do it. These drivers have done a great job out here tonight, staying green. We've kind of got the conveyor belt going on. Cars are all around this racetrack at this point. And as a driver, this is what you like. You like these long green flag races. You like having the ability to make green flag stops. And now, of course, if you make a strategy play that kind of puts you in a box where you want a caution, you're thinking, Josh sitting there thinking, good Lord, I made this strategy call and it could work out really well and give me a shot to win, but I could also finish 30th. I ran of all nights for these guys to figure it out and not crash. Why'd it have to be the night that I did this?
Yeah, and we know that normally in the races that we call anyway here on Mondays, usually our common theme has been cautions at the beginning, and then we get the long run to end the race. So we might. I don't want to speak too soon, but they might let us run the full 100 laps without me having to make any calls in this race.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, we've heard a lot the recent weeks about green flag percentage is way up, yellow flag percentage is way down. Well, this race right here, helping the green flag percentage.
And this race right here is a race. It's quickly became a race where I wish I was out there driving and not sitting up here, with you guys. Nothing against you guys, but this much green flag racing, I enjoy running this racetrack. It's a fun racetrack to run, especially in a car that's got some horsepower and takes some throttle control. So kind of kind of wish I was out there on the racetrack tonight, seeing how this race has played out.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you get a chance to get out there and run, 58 laps and counting without a caution, sign me up. Whether I'm running 30th or not, it's something I'd rather be doing rather than running around a green flag.
And Tyler Fody is all over the back of this 99 right now. How hard is Mark going to fight? Tyler's hoping to get around him with just 2 to go in the stage. Tyler's being really smart right now. He's really saved his tires pretty well this run to still be out front. Oh, Mark's going to give it to him. Going to run way up the racetrack. Let him have it. Oh, and Mark's in the wall.
In the wall, Mark.
Tell you what, this is a big change over what I thought we were going to see at the end of this run. Because at about lap 65, the window's going to open. You have to think Fody's probably going to be in there right there at 65. Cutlip is closing in. He has opened it up over weeks a little bit, trying to win the stage, I would imagine, and he's just, I'll go ahead and say he's not going to get there. 1 lap left in the stage. Fody's sitting out there with a comfortable lead of second and a half.
Yeah, right now.
Knocked 2/10 off, but 2/10 ain't going to get it done in the next lap.
Yeah, right now in this stage, first and second are pretty set. Matthew's probably pretty safe, but then Stanley, Frankenfield, they're right there together. Any one of those guys can still make a pass for fourth. So we see Brandon Wilkinson on pit road.
No surprise, we saw him do that the first run.
Chad's gonna have one chance here to get by Stanley.
Stanley's got to be thinking the same thing about Weeks with lap cars right in front of him. They come off of turn 4. Fody's going to win the stage over Cutlip. That is already determined. Then we're going to have Weeks for 3rd. Stanley, Frankenfield at 5th. Tyler Popp, Seth Rawls, David Tooker, Ethan Burrell, Scott Crump, top 10 here for stage 2. And now we expect to see a rash of pit stops in about 5 laps. All these guys are probably going to run to make it on one more stop. To do that, they need to get all the way to lap 65. So we got 5 more laps, and then I would imagine it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for everybody, with the exception of some of those guys who short pitted, like we've talked about Josh Adams and Wilkinson. The strategy is not going to work out for Ty because he was just too far back, gave up too much track position. Something had to have happened there to Ty. He is not going to be able to recover without the aid of multiple yellows at this point.
Yeah, we hit on at the start of the race how Chad had mentioned he's looking to move up in points at least a position or 2. He's picked up 8 points by virtue of the stages. The 5th place there, came home 8th in stage 1. So that's just a little bit of help for that. So we see Wilkinson on his fresh tires getting right in between Chad and Ethan Stanley here.
Not for long. He's going to go right around Ethan Stanley. You got guys now. We're going to have a lot of pit stops. Scott Crump, you see running 10th all the way back there with a big gap over the 11th place machine of Joe Francis. Hunter Smith is back there.
We saw it right there before our camera shot panned back. Chad made a big move on the inside of Stanley. Wasn't able to get it done.
Yeah, Chad's really working hard to get back around Stanley. They've kind of quit closing in on the leader while Cutlip has kept going, but Cutlip's now stabling out too. This is, do you think seeing what's happened with Tyler Fody is going to change these guys' strategy? I think they were thinking going to 70 when I think about the 5 and the 11 because they thought those fresh tires would allow them to get there at the end. But Fody pitted from 2nd or 3rd there right at the end of the first stage, short pitted them by a couple 2 or 3 laps. I'm not sure they're going to get back to him before lap 65 hits, and I got to think Fode's probably pitting right on the front side of this window since it worked so well the first time.
Yeah, you're probably right. We saw it work out for Tyler. Now, does anybody else try and make it work out for themselves? I would imagine too, with the gap that Tyler had from short pitting, he probably was saving a lot of tire while he had that gap. So we know on iRacing, even one lap fresher tires means a lot.
Yeah, and we got to start thinking about, the possibility of running green to the end. This is great job by these boys tonight. I'm looking back here right now at this pack of cars that's been racing together the whole race. I'm looking at Hunter Smith, Tom Bourne, Leighton Norgard. All these guys were running right here at the end of the first stage. They're still running right here together through this stage. And these are all guys that I thought should have played some strategy, tried to get up there and jump some track position. They didn't. It's really too late to kind of do anything off sequence now. Your bed's made. You got what you got now. You got the strategy that you got. You're too deep into it to be changing it up. Unless, of course, a caution comes out. And then, if a caution comes out, we're going to see probably foreign fuel for everybody. And
first one of our leaders up front, Ethan Stanley, in pit road. There was another car in the front of that shot, I believe, on pit road.
Well, Stanley's teammates with Fode said, man, that worked so good for Fode. Let me try it out. Let me see if I can make this play, make this work. I'm looking right now. I'm thinking Tyler Fode's probably got to be coming here as well. There's a bunch of traffic out in front of Fode. I don't think you want to keep running in this traffic.
I think the thing that worked so well for Tyler was the fact that he was second place and he was not very far off of John at the conclusion of that first run when he made his stop. If you're Ethan Stanley right here, you're right around 3.5, 4 seconds behind. So right here with this pit stop, you're really probably only going to be getting to Tyler at this point and not be getting the gap that Tyler had to be able to manage the tires. You're going to have to go and run the tires a little bit to try and keep up with those cars you're trying to catch.
I don't know. Every lap that they stay out here, that's 2.5, maybe 3 seconds that he'll be able to beat them. So here comes someone. Who are we looking at here? That's the 3. Here comes not Tyler Fode. I think that's Brandon Ultra.
Yeah, it's Kyle Petty coming pit road right there.
Was it Kyle or was it Adam?
Might have been Adam. But it's one of them Petties. Here comes Scott Crump. We saw Scott running 10th. So he's making an early play here to try and gain some track position. Tom Bourne's going to follow. So the 9 of Jay Kaner also. As well as Corey Abbott.
What a shot right here. Watching these guys pull down the
Frank Fode coming to us. See one guy pits, and then everybody else is like, "Oh, I really need to get in myself." And we saw that happen with 5 or 6 guys pit coming to us right there.
Here they come off of turn 4 once again. Are we going to see Fode make that left turn? If we are, here he comes.
We've got Dustin Dewar again. We saw Dustin Dewar get down there and hit the wall the first time he tried to get to pit road. And Tyler was probably deep breath right there. Hey, Dusty, don't wreck in front of me. We don't need that right now. I'm leading the race.
I can hear him now. Dusty, what are we doing? There it is. He said, hey, Dustin, let's, Oh, that's incredible stuff right there, man. Good stuff.
And that is something, if Dusty does happen to beat Tyler off of pit road, which he probably will. He had the track position, unless Dusty's going to repair some damage. If he slows him down a little bit, if he slows him down a little bit on that access road, he's going to probably have enough of a gap not to have to worry about that.
David Tooker's going to come to pit road.
Is that Cutlip at the back of our shot? We got Cutlip,
Weeks, Frankenfield.
Chad.
And I mean, if you look at this, it's, it's not. Don't let this deceive you. They are still green. Here comes Cutlip. We'll see how this shakes out over the course of pit stops here. What I'm watching for right here is I'm watching for the 40 to go by on the racetrack compared to where the 5. Okay, they're dropping the jack on the 5. Here he comes. And there goes the 40. Almost dead even. What a sequence for Tyler Fode. What a sequence for Fode.
It was brought to my attention the lap that Matthew Weeks came into pit road. He had some contact on the back straightaway with Mark coming off turn 2. Mark hit the wall a little bit. Matthew ran into him. A little bit of contact, no damage, so no severe damage or anything to be called there on Mark. So we race on.
And we are about, we're pretty close to having a new leader here. Ethan Stanley jumped everybody. Right now, Josh Adams, who really short pitted, has not assumed the lead just yet, but he might only get it for a lap here. The 12's still running. 12 has just now gotten to his pit box. So Josh might not even lead a lap.
Josh almost got cleaned out by Pocock there going into turn 1.
And here comes Stanley. Big run here for Ethan on his new tires. Well, newer tires. And Fode's not far back there either. So I think Ethan's got quite a bit more of a gap than you thought he was going to have. He should be able to make that live. We'll see if he's able to accomplish it as good as Fode did. But Lake Norman on it with the strategy tonight. Short pitting by a lap or 2 and gaining that pivotal ground. And Pro Edge can't recover and get it back all the way on the back end.
Yeah, these two are pretty well gone. Tyler doesn't have anybody out back that he's really got to worry about. It's 3.5, almost 4 seconds back to Cutlip.
And he only beat Cutlip to pit road by 1 lap that time. There wasn't like a gap of 3 or 4 laps. It was just, the very next lap Cutlip came down. So that's about even. That's level in my opinion. 1 lap. But since it does not appear we're going to be getting a caution tonight, we're going to take one more commercial break. And on the other side of the break, we will bring you the last 25 laps here tonight live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the Elite Racing Network, where we are bringing you live action of the Gaming Life 250 tonight with the Mark Rebilas Photography Series. Currently out front is Ethan Stanley, with Tyler Fody, John Cutler, Josh Adams, and Seth Rawls, with Josh still having to make another pit stop. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors here, Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track, connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always on the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And of course, Worldwide Technology Raceway. They are a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, close to the Gateway Arch. It features a 1.25-mile oval that in 2025 will host the NASCAR Cup Series, the long-awaited return of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They also have a 2-mile infield road course that is hosting the SCCA and the Formula Drift events. And they have a quarter-mile drag strip that hosts the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series with the Midwest Nationals event and the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. And of course, giving a shout-out to the Gaming Life, our race sponsor tonight, as I've mentioned a few times, the Gaming Life 250 live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, to set the stage, we've got 25 to go. Pit stops are over for everybody with the exception of, I believe, Josh Adams is going to have to make a pit stop at some point. He is just staying out, hoping for a yellow here to give him the break he needs. But we have seen no indication of that.
He's got a pit within probably about 9 laps or so he's begging the racing gods for a caution. But while we're away at commercial break, Ethan Stanley still leads, but Tyler Fody is eating into that gap by a lot every lap. John Cutlip is also eating into that gap between himself, Tyler, and Ethan by a lot. So we're shaping up to have a 3-car battle here pretty soon, I believe.
It will be exciting, as Matthew Weeks is currently 4th, over 5 seconds back, 6 seconds to 5th place Chad Frankenfield, who, I'm going to go ahead and say it, his car has not had the pace that it once had there after he hit the wall earlier. So he's just, I don't know what Chad's hoping for at this point. Maybe a caution, maybe, a rash of yellows. We will see. But right now we got guys on different tires all through this field.
Yeah, we saw Ethan Stanley was running right here. This gap that Chad has in between him and Matthew Weeks is where Ethan Stanley was before pit stops. And now, by virtue of pitting early, Ethan Stanley is 6 seconds ahead of these guys leading the race. Probably not going to be the winning strategy, as Tyler's right there, but it got him out of this race. And if Chad or Matthew or maybe both of them would have came with him, 3 cars trying to hold off the 1 car coming on a little bit better tires, maybe a different story.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what we talked about. We had this debate once already tonight. Are you content to ride in 5th? Are you content to run 15th? If you're content to sit back there, then you do what the leaders are doing.
Here we go.
But I'll tell you this,
as
we got that lead change, Tyler Fody passing Ethan Stanley, if you just sit there in 15th and you continue to do what everybody else is doing, when I say everybody, I mean those leaders, or you're going to keep running 15th. Or you're going to have to drive through guys, and that's the mentality in Elite that we've seen a lot of lately, is the mentality of, instead of trying to do something to gain track position or trying to do something to where you don't have to run into guys. You just sit there, you catch a guy, you can't pass him, and then you just drive through him. And that's the mentality that a lot of these guys have taken in this season in general. So it's nice to see that kind of go by the wayside tonight. We're not seeing anybody really run through anybody. All of a sudden, we've got some respect amongst the drivers, and hopefully this is something that carries over into other series, because it's very unfortunate. We could do this every week if these guys raced with the same mentality. As we are coming around here to 21 to go. And Tyler Fody is currently out there over Ethan Stanley, who's got Jonathan Cutlip. We're about to have a change for second. You see John driving deep down into turn 1. These guys running really hard. Odie's got himself a gap. Let's see, if Ethan can keep him back there for another... Can Ethan keep him back there for another set of corners? And he does. He does not. Ethan gives way to Cutlip. So now that's a change at second. I think Ethan's just hoping to sit in third. Now he's got the gap. He's got the time to save the tire.
Yeah, kind of surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too that Cutlip passed him so easy. Ty has left. Here's Chad on the back of Weeks. Here comes Chad. Does he make the move on Weeks? Nothing yet. Chad trying to get around Weeks. Weeks going to try to fight him. This is good for Stanley right here. The more these guys battle, the less likely they are to get to Ethan Stanley. Just waiting to see if Chad's going to take a big dive. Nothing yet. He's choosing to stay in line. I believe one of the things that you talked about is about to come to fruition here, Jake. I think Josh is about ready to have to make that decision to turn left and drive down pit road.
Yeah. Right now, his strategy is all about waiting for a caution, and he waited for the caution on this end of it. It didn't happen. So right now, he's going to be. We talked about it already during 2 of his other pit stops. He's hoping a caution comes out. The greatest thing for him would be it comes out while he's on pit road and he doesn't lose the lap. But I believe this time he's going to lose the lap, so he just hopes that he can come out on his fresh tires, get his lap back, and then get a caution.
Yeah, and even then, I don't think he has got any kind of scenario that's going to let him win the race.
Yeah, I don't think he's got any scenario that's going to let him win the race, but if he can get out there, get his lap back on the other end of this, and potentially stay out if there was a caution and they do get a rash of yellows, maybe the field will pit again if they run 5 or 6 laps and he can blend somewhere inside the top 10. I think that would probably be the best case scenario for Josh right now.
And I said that there's not a scenario for him to win the race. I mean, if the caution comes out while he's on pit road, like as soon as he crosses into the commitment line there, as soon as he gets into pit road, then we're talking about him having a shot to win. But unless otherwise, like that's the only way he has a shot. As right now, Tyler Fody currently holds a 1.4 second lead over John Cutlip.
Yeah, he's actually the last couple laps. Watching it just a little bit, he's put a little bit back on that. John did get it down to right around 1.2, and it's right around a second and a half right now for John behind Tyler.
And that doesn't surprise me because I think John drove a little harder this run. I noticed when he was trying to run down Ethan Stanley, he was really driving down into the corners as Josh Adams is on pit road. And, they're not as far off this time, are Fody and Cutlip. So I think Fody's been sitting there kind of saving like he did the last time. John's had to push a little harder, and they're a little bit closer. It was only 1 lap this time. I believe the first time it was 3 laps that Fody pitted him before him. And this time it's just 1, so I think we're seeing John just trying to close the gap to put some pressure on, hoping that maybe he can force Fody into a mistake or to burn the tires up. But I think John has pushed it pretty hard here.
So that was option A of Josh's strategy done. We saw him on the left side of the screen go his lap down. So now he doesn't want a yellow until he's able to come around and unlap himself or be in the lucky dog spot.
And I don't think it's going to... He's just now blending off of turn 2. There's no way. It's going to be 7 or 8 to go by the time he gets his lap back. There's just not... I think Josh is done. Stick a fork in him. I think the battle is going to be for the win and for third. We just heard Weeks upset with the lap car.
Yeah, I think he was a little upset that I believe it was Dylan Haver didn't get out of his way right when he would have wanted him to.
Did you see this battle between Tom Bourne and the 66? They're really running hard with each other right now. We are at 15 to go. Hunter Smith looks on. And that battle that we've talked about for fourth with Weeks and Chad Frankenfield, that has not turned into a battle. Chad's just following him. Well, now they've gotten to Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, they know they've got the tires over Ethan, so that's probably another spot for both of them. And Chad might sit back and watch them race each other side by side and hope that maybe Weeks will run a little bit more off of his tires, and Chad can try and capitalize and pass both of them.
Now, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the 91 and the 11 have a little bit of history amongst each other, running into each other, a time or two, so we shall see. They both have a teammate trying to win. They both probably think their teammate is in the better spot. Do they want to take that away from their teammate by doing something stupid here? I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
I don't
nothing
think so.
would shock me.
If it's me, I would throw the rivalry out the window and just I'd want to be able to say, hey, I was a part of a caution-free elite race. I think right now that trumps any animosity you might have towards somebody else. I would really just want to be a part of a caution-free race.
Yeah, at this point, if you're the guy that causes the caution in this race, you deserve all the hate that you're going to get for ruining what was and should be a caution-free race at this point. So if you're the guy that brings out the yellow, shame on you, and you should not hear the end of it. As now, here's Josh Adams in this battle for that third spot on fresh tires. And that's got to be a hard thing to manage, knowing that you're on fresh tires, but because your race isn't over. Like, if we get a caution and you're able to get up through there far enough, it's just one of those things that these guys are going to be frustrated about it. But if you're Josh, you kind of just got to go around them.
Right, yeah, he's got to go around him because he sees that next car in front of him. That's the lucky dog car. And if he's not able to get up and pass, I believe that's Jeff Ryan, then his race definitely is over. But he's got a shot to at least come up and make a couple more spots if he can get the lucky dog spot.
Really did not work out well at all for Ethan Stanley. He got stuck on the top. He's going to give up some spots. Ethan should have been looking in his mirror, seeing that Josh was coming, and gave him the top, and that way he had to cover. He just had to cover the bottom. Maybe a little bit more attention paid to that. Ethan would do that different next time to make sure that Josh passes him on the top. I'm not saying he should have fought Josh, but if you just let him go around you on the top, it doesn't put you at a disadvantage to the 11 and the 15 who now have taken that spot from him.
I'm surprised there off turn 4 that Chad didn't take it. Chad Wide coming off of that corner. I kind of figured he.
Well, here he goes, big dive underneath the 11 into 3. I guess he knew he could get him later.
Yeah, this is third place. It's a big deal for Chad because now if we do that dreaded caution word. He's on the second row. He's potentially coming out of pit road third place, and third place is not a bad position for a restart.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if there's a caution, they're gonna be pitting, and then the 11 goes right back around him. Big run off of 4. Chad's gonna do the lift early. Turn left. Weeks gets loose. They're gonna be loose. They're gonna be side by side through turn 2. They head down the backstretch with Stanley looking on. Even though he's on older tires, this battle that these two are having is going to be keeping Stanley in the fight. They head down here for turn 3.
While we watch this, not a whole lot has changed up at the top 2. Cutlip's just about 1.3 seconds back, so he's gained maybe a tenth and a half since we last checked in on it. So his little bit fresher tires haven't come to fruition yet. We wait to see if maybe he has a little bit left in the tank.
Well, and here comes Josh Adams right up to the back of the 40 machine. Looks left.
There we go. Turns Tyler Fody.
Oh my goodness.
Well, at least we didn't get the caution. But
Josh just did that intentional as well. That, I don't know about that. That's something, I have, it, for a guy who talks an awful lot about how everybody else races, Josh has, he's made some questionable moves the last couple weeks that I just don't understand. And that's, I don't know. I just don't, I can't justify that at all for Josh, and he's your brother, he's one of my best friends, but the last couple weeks he's been complaining about a lot of guys, but he hasn't really been doing anybody else any favors either, so it is what it is. That's given Jonathan Cutlip the gift of the lead and likely the gift of the win, as we are inside of 10 laps to go.
Yeah, that's not a favorable position that anybody would like to be in, and definitely, for me, not a position I'd like to be in, but
Yeah, I don't know. I know that you are the admin for tonight, so I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. You were talking about how easy this race has been for you, and now you are faced with this. I don't know that there's necessarily enough there to boot, but I do know there's definitely enough there for a tally.
Is there? I mean, no caution. Okay, if he's got damage, then yes.
Yes, Cutlip sits out here at 2.5 over Tyler Fody. And you got Chad Frankenfield looking on in third. Matthew Weeks sitting there in fourth. Ethan Stanley sitting in fifth. Scott Crump, Ethan Burrell, David Tooker, Seth Rawls, Tyler Pop, right there in the top 10. Now Fody's likely going to be passed for second and third. I don't know if Stanley will be able to get back to him. We are coming to 6 to go this time. I think if I'm John Cutlip, I'm probably sending a gift basket to that 23 car, saying thank you very much.
You know what we call those nowadays? We don't call them gift baskets. We call them muffin baskets, Chris.
Oh, we do?
Yep, a big muffin basket being sent to that 23 car.
I'll still call it a gift basket. And I'm sure that the older generation might call them a fruit basket. It was a fruit basket and a gift basket, and now I guess a muffin basket. Does it mean it has to have muffins in it?
Yeah, I think so. That would.
I didn't know what the verbiage was. I was like,
otherwise it's just a basket.
That's why I was saying a gift basket, because you don't want just muffins. Maybe put a blank check in there. Some EPI setups. The EPI is the sponsor of Cutlip. Maybe for the next 3 or 4 weeks here and we've got a caution.
Oh, we've got a yellow.
It is the 66. The 66 was trying not to lose spots and just kind of drove into the back of the 46, wrecked himself. Dusty gets involved. The 9 gets involved. And now we have to ask ourselves, how many green-white checkers are we going to get? And I'll tell you this, I will say this, the 66 deserves every bit of hate that comes his way after that.
Yeah, he was saying the 46 got tight in front of him, but that's kind of a situation where you're racing outside of probably the top 20 or so, and you kind of just lift and don't even put yourself in that position.
Well, I get the frustration, right? He was racing for about 15th, right in there. It was right around the Leighton, and the 46 was a lapper. So from that side of it, I understand, not wanting to lift. But on the other side of that coin, like, you were already getting passed. That's why you were on the top. You were already out of line. You were giving up that spot and maybe another one, and you just chose to. And that's what I'm talking about with the mentality in Elite. We have seen that. We've seen guys choosing just to run through other guys instead of trying to pass them or trying to do something different on the strategy. Guys just decide, hey, I'm going to drive through that guy because why not? And it's just we saw it a little bit there with Josh with just flat dumping the 40 from the lead, and I don't, I just think this mentality and it is just a terrible way to race. And I've been on the wrong end of it myself a handful of times this season, and it's just it's a terrible mentality, and it's the mentality of the fast guys a lot of ways. So Ethan Burrell, 2 tire. Oh, contact! We're wrecking off a pit road cutlip in the Chad Frankenfield. Heavy contact, cutlips through the grass. Oh.
No. That's a 2-tire pit stop on Chad, and he filled his fuel. So.
Well, look here. The 25, the 5, and the 15 on pit exit get locked together. The 5 ends up going down through the grass. Very unfortunate. You see them right here come together. All 3 of them smushed together.
Yeah, I don't like the 2-tire call here. By Chad, you pitted from 3rd place right there. You had a legitimate chance to win, I believe, with 4 tires here. I don't know that I like this call.
Well, I mean, you knew a group of guys were going to take 2, right? And the 37 took 2. And the 25 took 2. I think Chad takes 4. He's in that battle for 5th or so. Because we also have the 23, who has been the story here for the last 7 or 8 laps. He stayed out. He's going to be out here restarting from the lead. With Ethan Burrell, Chad Frankenfield, Seth is going to be back up in the mix. You got Cutlip, the first car on 4. Fody on 4 as well. So, to set all this up, I mean, it's... What do you anticipate is going to happen right here, Jake?
Well, for one, Josh staying out, I'm looking for tire spin possibly on that car. And Potentially looking for, Ethan and Chad to be pretty sideways getting down to turn 1. And Seth also. Tyler with all the damage, I guess he's probably not in a terrible situation because these guys might, get together up ahead of him and, let him back by. Right now, actually, though, with how they are lining up, with Chad in third, I think he's probably in the best spot. If he can get a better restart than Ethan and get out and be the first one to pass Josh, I actually do kind of like the position that Chad's in right now.
Well, we will see what happens here. We've got no tires on the 23 staying out. We got 2 tires on the 37, 2 tires on the 15. This will be a green-white checker, but it's going to be a regulation green-white checker. So this will not count, so we could theoretically line up and do this 4 times right here. Hopefully we don't, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. You got the 5 and the 40 back there in row 3, but I hear the 40's got some pretty major damage on that machine. Even though it does not look like it.
Yeah, right now Josh needs to get the restart of his life right here and get away as much as he can.
Ain't going to happen on
these
these tires.
A little bit of contact.
Green is out. He gets a good start, but if there's not a caution there real quick and in a hurry, I don't. And look at Seth carved to the bottom, right across that 5 machine. Here's Chad looking on the bottom. Ethan's on the top. They're going to go Chad wide.
Oh, Chad washes up sideways.
Oh, big jump.
No, here we go.
The 19, the 40. Chad was going for it.
It's unfortunate.
And just lost it.
Unfortunately, that was kind of what we talked about, going down in there with the 2 tires, and you're probably going to be a little bit sideways. Of course, he was a little offline making that swing out there. Just unfortunate. Took out a lot of really good race cars.
Yeah, and Josh, heads up on Josh. We've been bashing him a lot, but Josh gave him plenty of room down there. Chad just gets loose, gets up the track, trying to get out of the throttle, gets loose again, loses it, and this is going to get the 25 involved. And here comes the 40 to get involved, the 91, the 19, 13's in there, the 61, the 54, the 90. I mean, just everybody behind weeks? I mean, just everybody involved. I mean, just absolute. We knew this was coming. We knew that they were going to push hard. We knew they were going to try to make big moves. We had some different tire strategies. It's unfortunate that the last 10 laps of this race have played out like they have. It's that mentality out here that these guys have, that winning's the only thing that counts, and they're willing to wreck everybody for every spot on the racetrack.
Yeah, in Chad's situation, he's 75 points out, I believe is what he said, out of the playoffs, and the only way he gets there is with a win. So that's why I was saying I wasn't on board with the 2 tire call. So I would rather be in his position, strong at the end and know that I'm going to be in a situation to go forward and not really have to worry about the unknown of how the 2 tires were going to be.
Well, that, in a way has really hurt the 37 because he lost all of his buddies. He's now got 4 tires of John Cutliff right on him. He's got, Josh is still out there, so maybe it's not. Weeks is back there in 5th at 4. The 91's sitting there, but we know he's got damage on the right side of his car. We know Tooker was in that wreck in some way. Tom Bourne, all these guys. Look right there behind Tom. Look at Tyler Pop. How do you think that car is going to accelerate?
Yeah, probably not great. Somebody might want to, his crew chief, his spotter's missing one right there. I believe he's probably should be telling we get on pit road right there.
I mean, all these cars up here behind Weeks are pretty damaged. So, I don't know. The 91, the 19, the 61, the 13. I mean, these guys. It's just unfortunate. You talked about maybe getting 4. Should have maybe got 4. I don't know.
Yeah, well.
Really, go ahead.
So the tires, you're not coming back and getting the tires now. So, I really would have liked the 4 tires for Chad. Like I said, I kind of changed my mind on that with his position right there. If he could have gotten a little bit better restart and not gotten stuck behind the 23, I think he would have been okay. Not having to go that deep into the corner, that low. He might have been all right to drag race Ethan down the back straightaway, but right now, Ethan's the leader on the outside.
And he's picked the top. It's got to be competition right there.
Yeah, he's picked the top with his teammate on the inside. His teammate's on 4 tires, so Ethan knows that, hey, I'm gonna get the jump. I'm not gonna tell you when I'm going, but I'm going to give you the inside so that, you have the preferred line against everybody else going into turn 1.
Yeah, and I mean, it's what a scenario. We had Lake Norman penciled in for a lot of these front spots, and because of these late race issues and the way the last 10 laps fell, and, maybe more than 10 laps at this point, It's really changed the complexion of this race for a lot of guys. But John Cutlip's still sitting here on 4 tires. Ethan Burrell sitting up here on 2.
Yeah, and we mentioned at the very start of the show with Seth Rawls qualifying in the top 5 and how that wasn't a fluke because he was running in the top 5. Well, he's still right here with a really good shot to potentially still win this race because if he can get a good
he's on 2 tires as well.
Well, if he can get a good restart behind Ethan, and I'm not saying he's going to clear down in front of John, but he has, Josh still out there with the no tires to his inside that's going to stack up the field behind him. There might not be as many cars coming to his back bumper as possible. So we'll see how it all plays out.
And one thing here, too, there's damaged cars now all throughout the field. We've talked about Tyler Pop, no hood. This is really going to shake up the mid portion. I'll be surprised if we don't get a caution here with guys running. Oh, big wheel spin from the 61.
The 61, I think he got a shot from the 90.
They head for turn 1. They're 3 wide for 3rd. 25 falls in. The 23's backing up. Here comes the 91 looking inside of 3. I think he's going to make that work. 4 tires versus no tires versus 2 tires. And now you don't want to see a caution. And we're wrecking. The 43's around. Are we going to stay green? I think we are. Here goes Cutlip for the lead.
Yeah, and Ethan in his position, it's, he's going to try and hang down. Cutlip real loose, all pro edge on pro edge crime.
And Matthew Weeks is right there, and Burrell gets turned around.
Don't count out Ethan Stanley. Right here as we come to the white flag with Matthew Weeks looking inside a Cutlip. We already saw 2 teammates get together.
Here they go.
They're going to run each other really tight down here.
Or turn 1, excuse me. The battle is on. The 11 is not there, and that's, boom, Weeks. Now they've gotten the 91 into this fight. If he can get a good exit off of 2, get a big toe down the back stretch, they head for turn number 3. Big side draft out of the 11.
He's going to try and hold him up as high as he can and then turn off into the corner and hope he can get him cleared down there. Big send by Ethan Stanley. Sideways,
he's there.
He's going to be there if can he get a draft and finish 3 wide here?
Here they come off a turn
Big
4.
run again by Stanley.
He's got to run, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Big run coming here. Side by side. Contact. It's Matthew Weeks.
Wow, Matthew Weeks, John Cutlip, Ethan Stanley, Seth Rawls, Josh Adams, David Tooker, Scott Crump, Leighton Norgard, Johnny Thomas, and Joe Francis will round out your top 10.
Dave, your boy won. Your pick won the race.
And we've seen once again that, we've talked about Pro Edge on Pro Edge. This happened a lot recently. And it happened again down there in turn number 3.
Well,
Frank
6
Fody.
1,000ths of a second.
Frank Fody's going to come home 13th. Ethan Burrell comes home in 14th. Tyler Fody's going to be 23rd. Hunter Smith, 27th. Chad Frankenfield, 30th. Those are Tyler Pop, 33rd. Those guys all were running up in the top 15. Some of those guys in the top 5 had a shot to win, and they do not get the finishes to show for it. But one guy who did, there you see him, Matthew Weeks, coming around here to celebrate. So stick with us here on the Elite Racing Network. We'll be back on the other side of this break to wrap up, talk to our winners, our winner and our first, second, third place guys as Weeks hits the wall a little bit there to start the burnout. We'll be back with you here in just a moment.
Years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And welcome back to the Elite Racing Network, where we have just finished the race from Indianapolis. Tonight's race, of course, the Gaming Life 250. And now I am standing down here with third place finisher Ethan Stanley. Ethan, we saw you play the strategy right to kind of get up there away from those guys. Then you ultimately couldn't hang on there at the end. But talk to us about your race and what more you needed there at the end to win the race.
It wasn't about really hanging on at the end there. I was short on fuel by about a lap and a half when I came out of the pits, so I kind of screwed that up, just pit too early. But I think I still had the tire. It's a shame. I felt like I had the pace for most of the run, and started to kind of figure it out during the second green flag run after burning off the tires with the first one. But yeah, pretty fun battling up front. It's a shame that we couldn't just stay green to the end, but that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and it seems to happen every week. We see guys lose their heads and guys, just all those things that tend to happen at the end of these races that I thought we were going to avoid tonight. But talk to us about the start of that race and how much you learned. We kind of talked about, learning over the course of the run. What did you learn that first run that made you better the second and third run and the rest of the race?
Yeah, I definitely just pushed too much, kind of tried to get myself a gap, and that was just learning. Learned how much I could wear off the tires, learned how tight it gets, because I didn't really get a long run practice in the practice session, so pretty useful on the first run. Still got decent points in the stage, and same with the second one. And yeah, my only regret in this race really was just pitting too early on the final one.
Well, all right, Ethan. Before we let you jump out of here and get ready for Wednesday and prepare for next week, who else gets you to the racetrack week in, week out?
Yeah, big thanks to Blue Egg Marketing being a sponsor with the team. Big shout out to Lake Norman. We all had a pretty decent night. Tyler Fody had some unfortunate happenings there. And then big thanks to JD Designs and John Cutlip for painting this car. Big shout out to you guys up in the booth for always putting on the streams every week. Big shout out to Chad and everybody else that runs the league.
All right, Ethan. Thanks for your time. Can't wait to see you out on the racetrack on Wednesday and to watch you live in action again next week, same time. So thanks for talking to us, Ethan.
Yep, thanks guys.
All right, now we have our second place finisher, and I believe he is going to be standing by with Jacob Adams over there.
Yeah, Jacob Adams in the ERN booth. Jonathan, got a copy?
I do.
Right. Well, we saw you come home second place. We're getting pretty used to talking to you after these races. We had it was a 95 lap run to start the race. So just go ahead and talk to us about that and how much of a refresher that is, and then your night all around.
Yeah, we had a really good run to start the race out. 95 laps. I just screwed up on the first stop. I didn't get as clean of a stop as I needed to, and just lost a little too much time to Fody, and I was making it back up towards the end of the race there, and unfortunately, a little bit, I'm not sure if it was prior history or what happened. I never really got a good chance to look at it, but it pretty much knocked Fody from the lead, and we're kind of just cruising there, and unfortunately, they decided to wreck for 30th, and the usual coming down to a green-white checker just didn't really help the cause too much.
Yeah, talk to us about those green white checkers there when you know you have guys on alternate strategies, no tires, two tires, and how they're you're looking around, you know this guy's not going to take off, this guy might be loose, and you've got the four tires and you have the tires to make the pass, but how does that complicate things when there's a bunch of different tires around you?
Yeah, it's pretty much just a battle of trying to keep it clean as you make your way through there, and Chad got really loose going into one, and unfortunately collected a few people with him, but yeah, it's pretty much a battle of attrition at that point, and unfortunately didn't get away clean.
Yeah, well, like I said at the start here, we're getting used to talking to you in the top three. We've got 3 weeks until the playoffs, so you're looking really strong for when those come around. So we're probably going to see you there. And then, so your shout outs and who gets you to the track.
Yeah, thanks to you guys putting a broadcast on every week. Dave, Chris, Jacob. Hopefully it was a good race for you guys to call tonight. Very different strategies, a lot of good racing. Thanks to Race CPI, great group of open setups. So if you ever want to give that a shot, give them a try. But yeah, thanks to you guys. Shout out to my mom. She was enjoying watching the race. Wish we were one spot better.
Yeah, for sure, one spot better. Last week, I know I gave a shout out to one of your shout outs. This week, I am going to give a shout out to EPI. I won a open truck race on an EPI setup last night, so it's definitely the place to be. So
we're cooking this week for Homestead. We did a practice Sunday and we were flying, so try it again.
Yeah, and I was definitely flying on that stuff last night, so definitely go look there, just like John said. So, John, well, go enjoy the rest of your night. Your second place here. Like you said, you want to be one better, but we will see you next week.
Yep, have a good night.
All right, and now I am standing here with race winner Matthew Weeks. Matthew, it did not look like you had a shot to win this thing there with 10 to go, even 5 to go, maybe even on the last restart. But talk to us about your night. Before we get into how it finished, talk to us about your night overall and what you thought about the race here for the first 90 laps.
I felt pretty good. I lost a lot of time early in the run with Seth in front of me. It's just like, it wasn't his fault. It's just the dirty air was playing. It was so bad for some reason tonight. And So I lost a little time, and then once I got past him, I really started like chipping into the top 3 guys, and I felt like a 3rd or 4th place car at best, maybe a little better. Like I noticed late in the run, I would gain on John and Fody even after their pit cycle a little bit, but I lost a lot of time with that one incident when Mark hit the wall. I lost like a second there, and just a lot of time lost. But I felt like I could probably contend with those guys. So it was a good race, and Indy's like probably one of my favorite tracks to race with a stock car. It just suits me well, and it was good. It was good until I guess what happened with Fody. That was kind of some crap, you know. I just feel bad for you're going to probably win the race, and that happened to you. I mean, it sucks, but I know there's been a lot of bad blood brewing over there between those guys, so it was expected. It's actually been expected for a while. So, and then John should have won the race. He had it in the bag after that, and then I don't know what that that one caution came from, and then I was worried about the people with 2 tires. I was afraid they was going to wreck, and luckily I dodged the wreck that happened on that first restart, and I was able to get a good restart on the second one, and just was able to race John right there really hard and clean, and that's one of my good buddies. So to have a respectful race like that for the win, that was just fun.
So are you guys saying you don't respect Ethan? You had a little bit of pro edge on pro edge crime?
Well, I kind of took Ethan out of the equation because he had 2 tires. I gave him no shot to even contend for the win after he did that. So, but after he lost it, I was worried there because I thought another yellow was going to come out, and then I noticed it kind of messed up John in 4, so it was able for me to really back up that corner and build a run to be able to get underneath them. And after that, it was just trying to stay even with them and not let them pass me on the outside.
Well, all right, Matthew, you kind of hit on the end of the race there as well. So I guess the only thing I got left to ask is who helps get it done for you week in, week out here?
My boy JV Designs. He doesn't pay my entry fees or nothing. He's a good buddy of mine, and I told him just to paint me a beautiful scheme with your logo on it, and I'll rep that in Elite, and I do it in other series too. So shout out to Justin Vennemer on these amazing schemes. Finally glad to win. It's been a bad season. I think I only had 1 finish in the top 10 until tonight. I've been wrecked out of every other race, so finally glad to get a win, and hopefully this puts us in the playoffs. I know I was kind of out of the top 25 points, so. And then shout out to Betty, who's a big Pro Edge fan over there watching. All the Pro Edge guys were running pretty well tonight. That was there. Everyone was kind of top 10ish, top 12ish, and I heard Tugger was quick on the long run. All you guys in the booth, all the sponsors that's part of the league, Chad that runs it, everyone that makes this thing go, and Dave sitting there behind everything that pretty much runs it all. Does a hell of a job in the booth. So I can't wait to go back, watch the race, and hopefully it was good for everyone that watched. It was very entertaining.
All right, Matthew, thanks for giving us your time. Congrats on the win. Can't wait to see you on the racetrack on Wednesday and once again next week at the same time here on Monday night. So go enjoy this win. I think that's a sweep at Indianapolis for you this year. So
yeah, that's awesome.
A lot to be happy about.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate it.
Well, guys, as we get ready to wrap up, Jake, I'll ask you first, and then I'll let you give an answer as well. Dave, any final thoughts about what we've seen tonight here at Indianapolis?
Yeah, well, we saw a 95 lap run to start the race, which was great, and then it kind of just turned into a typical weekly race that we see, and unfortunately, it kind of ended like that. But a lot of good racing. We saw a lot of guys that needed good nights having good nights until the end there. Chad in particular. Matthew picked up the win. The elephant in the room, the contact with the 23 and the 40, we can't really say we're surprised. I guess, that's been brewing for a while. We don't like seeing it, but, you kind of just hope that you get me once, I get you back. And then, like we talked about the 5 and the 40, that'll just kind of be the end of that. But I guess we'll see.
And what about you, Dave? Any final thoughts from you over there?
I just appreciated seeing all the green flags. I mean, I see plenty of caution laps, plenty of pace laps across all the series that I broadcast. So I enjoy seeing the green flag runs and seeing guys try to make better lap time every lap. So I really enjoyed tonight.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for, I guess, about, 200 miles or so, 225 miles, and then it kind of went the way we've seen Elite go. Got to clean up the end of these races. That doesn't make anybody look good. What happened out here I think it's a tough deal. It is a tough deal. I can't say too much about what happened between the 23 and the 40 because I have done it. I have made the decision to park somebody, but at the same time, I stood up when I did it and I said I did it. I wanted them to know that I did it, and I think if you're going to do something like that, you need to own it. I don't think it comes off very good to sit there and make all these excuses. You made that decision, you own that decision, and you live with the consequences, but it is what it is. I really enjoyed that first 90, 95 laps, and then the last 10 we just gotta, as a driver unit, gotta get better about taking care of each other, even on these late race restarts. So we will see how that shakes out. We will move on to next week, where I don't even know where we're at. I know on Sunday night we're going to be at
Homestead.
Dover. So Monday night next week we'll be at Homestead, and then Wednesday we are at Kern County. So I'm sure all the yellows are waiting for us over there on Wednesday. If you liked what you've seen tonight, stick around. We'll be back next week, same time. Of course, on Wednesday night, we'll have live action from Kern. Thursday night, I believe we're in action. I'm not sure where from, but I believe there is Barber Motorsport Park down there in Alabama. That's where we will be for IndyCar. And then next Sunday night, like I mentioned, Dover. And you'll have the same cast back for next week, next Monday night. Live from Homestead. It should be a great race, great tire fall off. Got the new build, going to have a little bit of a different surface to work with, so I can't wait to get there, and hopefully you can either, but we will see you live from Homestead, Florida, a week from tonight. And a shout out to our sponsors, Blue Egg. Of course, we had a race sponsor tonight as well with the Gaming Life, Mark Rebilas Photography Series, and Worldwide Technology Raceway. Couldn't do all this without our wonderful sponsors, and of course everything that Chad and Dave do as well, so we'll see you live next week, same time, same place.